Today, I want to dive into design strategy. A solid design strategy isn't about focusing on one aspect of the product, but it's also about considering every other area of the product. And that also includes branding, which quite honestly, branding needs to be planned out prior to jumping into the product design, but that's all for another conversation at this point. The objective is to develop a user-centered product that enhances the user experience while staying true to the brand's visions and goals. This means focusing on every detail from functionality and aesthetics to how the product communicates the brand's identity, ensuring a seamless while engaging experience for users at every touchpoint. Once the objective has been created, we focus on the scope of the strategy for every design element, excluding financial considerations, and ensuring that requirements are centered around the user's needs. Next, let's discuss research and discovery. Research and discovery is an essential part in the process. They help us understand what users truly need and want. It's like laying down the groundwork before you start building something. Without that insight, we're just, guessing, which can lead to designs that, quite honestly, will miss the mark. By talking to users, studying their behaviors, and learning from competitors, we can make more informed decisions, and these decisions will help in the early steps to ensure that the designs we create are not only functional and beautiful, but also meaningful and relevant to the people using it. When we talk about user research, it is very important to surround yourself with the right UX research individual. That is a very crucial part of the process. I myself am not a UX researcher by any means, so I have surrounded myself with one of the greatest researchers that I have ever worked with. Because of this, we have been able to gather great user insights and create products that the user truly know how to use. While the researcher dives into the user insights, the rest of the team tackles competitive analysis, looking at what others are doing to spot any opportunities that we could benefit from. Once this has been completed, we move on to the part that I enjoy the most, which is creating the mood board. By pulling all of this information together, we could create the colors and ideas that will guide our designs and help us stand out from the rest. Now, you've heard vision and goals quite a few times through the presentation, so let's dive into it. Having a clear vision and goal is crucial in design because it gives direction and purpose to everything we create. Without a vision, it's easy to get lost in endless ideas and lose focus on what really matters. I've seen this firsthand before, and it can cause a lot of time being wasted as well as money, which clearly I know a lot of people out there, especially stakeholders, don't like that. Goals help us break down that vision into achievable steps, ensuring that every design choice we make moves us closer to something meaningful. When everyone is aligned on the vision and goals, the entire design process, a design vision is like a North Star. It guides every creative decision, making sure that we stay true with what we want to achieve. Design goals keep us on track, breaking down the big picture into clear, actionable steps that move the project forward. Next, we're going to talk about ideation and concept development. Ideation and concept development are all about coming up with ideas and turning them into something real. It starts with brainstorming, which, by the way, it's one of my favorite parts of this, where we throw out different ideas no matter how wild they can be. We need to explore every single possibility imaginable. Then we narrow those ideas down and start sketching out or building simple versions of them to see what works best. We are taking the rough idea in your head and slowly shaping it into something you could actually see and test. This step is all about creativity and exploration before we lock in the final design. Brainstorming is when things really begin to get fun. Just like I mentioned before, the energy in the room is electric as everyone comes together to tackle a problem. Ideas bounce around, some wild, some brilliant, some not so good, but the excitement still builds. It's that creative spark when everyone's thinking together that really gets the momentum going and pushes the boundaries of what's possible. Brainstorming is a great time for team building as well. Once we've come up with some ideas, it's time to start figuring them out by creating wireframes. We get to play around with layouts, structure, all while keeping things simple and flexible before diving into the finer details. Let's talk about prototyping and testing. Prototyping and testing are about creating a rough version of your designs to see how it works in the real world. Then you get to see people using it, gather their feedback, and see if it works the way you expected it to. This helps catch any problems early so you can tweak and improve the design before finalizing it. It's a way to make sure the design is practical and user-friendly before it's fully built out. Prototyping is where the magic really happens. We finally start to see our product come to life. We get to test out how things work, tweak what doesn't, and fine-tune the experience all before the final build. It's exciting to watch everything take shape. After taking it all in, all that user feedback, and ironing out the kinks, we begin user testing. It's like giving your creation its first test drive. The reaction, insights, and feedback help us fine-tune everything, making sure it's as user-friendly and awesome as we imagine. Now, let's talk about design refinements. By this point in the process, we've already laid out all the screens and carefully considered any potential issue. Everything has been mapped out, so now it's just about fine-tuning, creating all of the design assets and making sure everything flows smoothly. Design. In interaction design, the goal is to make every touch point feel effortless and intuitive. We focus on ensuring that users can easily navigate the product with actions like tapping, scrolling, or clicking, making sure that everything feels natural. It's all about creating a seamless, enjoyable experience where everything just works without the users having to think twice. When you think about design, think about an iPhone, for example. Anybody at this point could pick up an iPhone and just use it. So now let's talk about implementation and handoff. Implementation and handoff is the stage where the design gets passed to developers for building. The design team shares all the details like design files, guidelines, and specifications to ensure everything is built as intended. It's about smooth collaboration so the final product matches the vision. And this is one problem that I see this all the time, where designers will create a design, pass it on to the developers, expecting the developers to know what the design is all about. And that's a huge problem. And I've seen this quite a few times in all my years doing this. So now let's talk about an area that a lot of people don't think it's important, but I think it's crucial, and that is documentation. It is important to create documentation explaining details about the designs that will not only help the developers, but also will help others that will need to learn more about the designs that you just created. This documentation will let the developers and business analysts understand your reasoning behind those designs. And that is very important because that's part of communication. Collaboration, like I mentioned before, is keeping an open line of communication at all times. It is imperative for a successful product and team to always make sure that there is an open line of communication. Creating a design that the developers cannot code will only hurt the bottom line. Let's talk about what happens after all of these things have been completed. Launch and evaluation, which is the post handoff, is when we put the product out into the world for users to interact with. After it's launched, we gather feedback to see how people are using it. Evaluation means looking at the feedback and the data to figure out what's working and what needs to be improved for future updates. At this point, all of the work pays off. We finally get to see the product go live and watch how users interact with it. But the job's not done. Now we gather feedback, see what's working, and figure out what needs to be tweaked. It's like watching your creation take its first steps and making sure it's ready to run. While the product has been launched, we will continue to make improvement. It's basically about never settling for your designs and knowing that you're always going to be improving upon the product. So that's it, folks. I hope this video gave you a clear look at my design strategy. Remember, none of this happens without an awesome team. It's all about group effort. If you get any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I really hope you have a great day. And maybe next time you'll actually get to see my face at the end of it all. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.